The following podcast is scheduled for one fall. From the heart of Broadway in historic downtown Cape Girardeau, this is Pro Wrestling Unscripted.
Wednesdays are for pro wrestling, and that, of course, means another edition of Pro Wrestling Unscripted right here on the Podzilla 1985 network. I am your host, as usual, the five-star man, Asa Gray. Joining me at this time is the Big D, Dalton Anthony.
Yo!
And, wow, not a fun day in wrestling, even remotely.
Depending on how you think about it.
No, there's literally no. It's bad news. It is bad news. I agree in the sense that like things will work out okay for these people, I'm sure, but like suddenly finding out, oh hey, you don't have a job anymore. That's bad. That's not good. You can turn it into a good thing, obviously, but again, just like that random suddenness is not gonna sit well for a lot of people. But there's other stuff to talk about too, because we're also going to be talking about other people who lost their jobs, and then someone else who lost their job. It's all over. But
one of them really deserved it.
Yeah. We do have some fun stuff to talk about, though. We've got the AEW toys lineup reveal that came from FanFest, and of course we're going to talk about Double or Nothing because I watched that on Sunday and it was a lot of fun. But the big news, of course, because like earlier this morning I was going through trying to find stuff that maybe I had missed throughout the week to talk about, because there wasn't a ton of it, and then too many things happened with WWE releasing Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Lana, Ruby Riot, Buddy Murphy, and Santana Garrett. And this really seems like it comes out of nowhere. Aleister Black has been the most vocal so far. Just about everybody has issued some sort of statement. But Aleister Black straight up said, like, hey, I will say something later, but this came from left field. Because they just repackaged him. He just re-debuted on the past SmackDown. And then nothing. Not even nothing. Then he's just released. Because
which I mean, it's not the first time that we've seen somebody get used on TV and then the next day just gone. This is one of the few times where they're actually doing something with that person. Because, like, we just recently... Wasn't it Billie Kay, like, had something at a pay-per-view, and then the next day... Or not the next day, but, like, that week was the week that she got axed?
She was on WrestleMania. She teamed with Carmella in that multi-team match on night 1 to face the tag champs on night 2. She was in that, lost, and then was released the same week. And I would say, arguably, this is more surprising than that, because... Even though they kind of gave her a character, it seemed like it wasn't supposed to be a thing. That was something that she took chicken shit and turned into chicken salad. And it wasn't supposed to get over like it did. Whereas this is very much like there was money that got put into this Aleister Black stuff. Those storybook vignettes that he got for like the last 4 or 5 weeks, like those took time and money to produce. Plus, he's got this new look, which I don't think WWE footed the bill on that. I think that was more of something, that he had influence over. He did go live on Tia Trinidad's Twitch stream and just kind of talked for a couple hours, including one of the things he talked about was he had a brand new theme made that he says is his favorite one he's ever had. So considering that Code Orange theme that he has right now, like, holy crap, very bummed we're not going to get to hear that selfishly. Like, obviously this isn't about what we're missing, but still, that sucks. But so he's got
I mean,
those production
in
values.
total fairness, it is. Like, it's our entertainment value out of it. It's just like, oh, you mean there was cooler shit that was coming out of this? That's a fucking bummer. Like, yeah, at the end of the day, I don't like that somebody's losing their job, but also, like, there was, and this is, like you said, it's different. It's more, like, out there because they were actively doing shit. They literally took something away from us because there's not a lot of people that can be Aleister Black.
Oh, there's exactly...
You can't feel...
There's exactly one person who can be Aleister Black. That is the...
Yeah,
that's
and that's the whole
one.
thing. Like, Sami Zayn has talked about that. It's like, they say, like, you're here, like, to take a spot, not fill one. Nobody else can be, and then it describes himself, which is true, but there's a lot of people that can be a chicken shit heel. There is not a lot of people that can be Aleister Black. If you sign Brody King, maybe.
Did you see
you
what
could
he
maybe
described?
Brody...
Did you see what he described Aleister Black as being? Like, what his character was? It was the devil came to Earth with amnesia. He knew he had done something terrible, but he didn't quite know what it was. And that's what he wanted Aleister Black to be. What? That's awesome. Like, that is just...
And again, yes, it is such a bummer that he doesn't work for WWE anymore. But also, let me reiterate, it also took something away from us. Like, that is something I want to see. Like, we are allowed to be bummed out as fans because we don't get to see this person on this platform anymore. Like, yes, it is probably a bigger bummer to that person, but as selfishly, and I can talk selfishly about that, so this is why we have our own platform. Yeah. This fucking sucks. Like, and it's not even like, I am upset that Aleister Black is gone, but he's not even the one I'm the most upset about. Oh, because Buddy Murphy's gone.
And we're gonna give due to everybody here, so don't like we don't have to rush through this because I do want to give due to everybody, but there's a couple other notes from the Aleister Black one that I wanted to touch on because, like, going back to what we were talking about, you know, with Billy Kay being released just, you know, the week after Mania, after having appeared on Mania, he not only has this new character, he got all these highly produced animated vignettes. He actually re-debuted to cement a feud with Big E, which achieves two separate things. In him costing him the IC title is one, okay, now we know what Aleister Black is going to do. He clearly has a feud built in, ready to go with Big E. And two, it finally breaks Big E away from his feud with Apollo Crews. And then that allows Apollo Crews to then move on to whoever the next challenger is going to be, which it kind of looks like it might be Sami Zayn, which is I'm all here for. But so, man, it sucks. If I don't know, Twitch is being really weird with their VODs right now. So I don't, because there's such a history of the DMCA claims that a lot of people are deleting their VODs right away. But if it's still up, like, I highly recommend checking out the Twitch stream that he did on Tia Trinidad's Twitch stream, because it wasn't bitter, it wasn't sour grapes. He didn't really seem sad even, just kind of, it was very, you know, matter of fact, this sucks, but, you know, this is what's going on. And it was really, really interesting. So I recommend people check that out if you get a chance. And instead of doing this like all at once at the end, you messaged me just like 15 minutes before we started recording and said that the only way you would want him to go to AEW is if he does stuff with the Dark Order. I responded with very incorrect, because Hunter said the same thing in the group chat, saying that, like, he should be the leader, he should be the new leader of the Dark Order. And I disagree with that as well, because, like, on the one hand, in a vacuum, the Dark Father, the Dark Order, that all does sound amazing, and I am 100% into that idea. But it's not in a vacuum. We are post-Brody being the Exalted One, and I really don't know if I want someone else not coming in and, like, trying to replace him, because I'm sure it would be a whole new thing. But also, like, what the Dark Order is now, they're goofy. They're just goofy faces. You know, if this was the original plan, and originally it was going to be Aleister Black revealed as the Exalted One, sure, absolutely, that would be incredible. But now that they're, you know, trying to, they how long they've been trying to befriend Hangman Page and all of that, I don't think that's a good fit, like, at all. I would much rather see. I would much rather see him take away Blade, the Butcher and the Blade, and the Bunny from the Hardy family office.
The what?
Hardy Family Office. So Matt Hardy has his stable.
Oh,
it's got Private
okay.
Party and Butcher, Blade, and Bunny. Except Butcher is hurt. Blade is hurt. Butcher is the one that's hurt.
Yeah. And whenever I said something with, that is either let him be the leader of it or let him feud with them. Because I also that would be a good starting point for Tommy End at AEW. Honestly, there's really not a wrong answer for Tommy End at this point. I'm going to start using his actual name again because I like Tommy End so much more than Aleister Black.
They're both great names, though.
They're both really good. It's just I like Tommy End more. It's very much a personal preference thing. Tommy, there's not a wrong answer for anywhere he can go. I think anywhere he goes gets an instant shot in the arm, talent-wise, because he can work anybody. Remember the match he had with Lars Sullivan at a TakeOver? That was really phenomenal. I would say the Velveteen Dream matches, but at the same time, that was a really good talent working with a really good talent. When you get somebody in there that's not as experienced, and Aleister, he had an amazing match with him. I really liked the Lars Sullivan match, minus the black mask that missed by that much. That was kind of a bummer. But everything else was awesome in that match. But yeah, I would love to see him either be with the Dark Order or feud with the Dark Order. That's what I was saying. That's if you're going to start him somewhere, start him there. Because then that would also be a really good way to get Adam Page to finally be in do the whole Dark Order thing where Aleister Black's just killing these guys. And then that's whenever Hangman just comes in. Because do you know how good a Hangman Page Tommy End match would be?
Yes.
Brother. Yeah, because that's my whole thing. Whenever I say something with, that's actually what my end game would be Hangman Page defending the Dark Order versus Tommy End. Because, oh boy, that would be good. That would be so damn good.
And I just think I think you could do that without having to involve the Dark Order, even. You could build to a Hangman Page Tommy End match easy enough without bringing them in. Just because, like I said, I think they're a little on the goofier side. But
fair enough.
Speaking of someone who was currently being used, Braun Strowman co-main evented WrestleMania Backlash, former Universal Champion, former he tag team champion with Nicholas. Never forget. I saw someone on Twitter say they wanted to see him and Nicholas reform their team and do an indie run. That's funny, but. Holy, I think arguably that is the most surprising one. Say what you will about Aleister Black just getting re-debuted. Lana, Ruby Riot were both on WrestleMania. We're constantly in the women's tag team division. And then you have Buddy Murphy and Santana Garrett, which would be less surprising just because of how little they were using either of them. But Braun is a legit, he's a WWE guy. They pulled him out of powerlifting, started him pretty much from scratch. He ended up being way better than he had any right to be. And now they're cutting him, which leads to probably the most interesting thing to come out of this is that it lends a lot of credibility to now, instead of them just being whispers and almost jokes, they're much more amplified. They're a lot louder and they're a lot more credible. The rumors that WWE has potentially been setting themselves up to be sold to another entity. And I'd especially because Sean Ross Sapp is reporting that the primary factor behind Strowman's firing is the contract that he got back in 2019. So if, you got to remember, pre-COVID, pre-AEW actually launching, WWE was signing and re-signing everyone to stupid amounts of money to keep them away from this potential startup wrestling company. Now that Strowman, who apparently negotiated himself a killer deal, he did too good of a job that they're like, we don't want to pay this anymore. And a lot of analysts and people who are familiar with stuff like this say that no, that's a pretty common tactic when you're about to try to sell your business. Because if you can sell and be like, One of the which sounds more appealing. Hey, pay us for our business, but also when you take that business, you have to pay this dude $1 million over the next 5 years. Or, hey, just pay for our business. Oh, and by the way, we just saved you $5 million because we cut this guy. So to me, it means that I really think that WWE is not, if they are not actively looking for a buyer, that they are setting themselves up to where if they receive an offer, they won't just immediately be like the story when Microsoft went and tried to buy Nintendo and they literally got laughed out of the boardroom. That's not going to be the case anymore.
Yeah, it's something that they will consider. I do absolutely love the thought of Braun did too good of a job in negotiating. There is such a thing as just going over the line for negotiating. You did too well.
Yeah, wait,
just like, oh, and now we're paying you too much.
He could have gone at him and been like, hey, I want this much money. And they said, no, negotiate down. He said, I want this much money. Eventually, they got to the point where they agreed to it. And then, a year and a half later, they're like, no, this is too much. But when you think about it, like, he's constantly at the top of the card. He's pretty consistently getting new merchandise. I feel like that is someone that you easily could have gotten your money out of. Especially with the way that he had improved. Like, look at NXT Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt. And look at Triple Threat
he didn't
match,
even
WrestleMania
do NXT,
Backlash,
but yeah.
Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. And it's ridiculous. Like this, so that is the most surprising one.
Yeah, and whenever you start looking at it, like when we talk about the union and everything in wrestling, or the lack of union in wrestling, he did too good of a job, and it's his fault now because like the money that he negotiated up, he's never going to get. He's never going to see that because WWE doesn't have to pay it. That's the one good thing about. I'm going to make this point and then go shut this door again because Maisie sucks. But like that was the good thing about WCW is whenever Time Warner failed or Time Warner sold it, they still honored the contract of all of those guys because a lot of the big names, at least not all of them, but like the big names. They still got their $1 million contracts that Time Warner. They kept paying them until their contracts lapsed. Whereas at WWE, if you get like Braun Strowman's not going to get the money that he is owed in the rest of the contract that they agreed to sign, and that's the problem. That's the bigger issue with the whole union. But I'll let you keep going really quick because the sound is starting to seep through and it's bothering me. So give me a second.
I will say too, as far as like who would potentially buy WWE, I think it would have to be a network. I think it has to be. Disney seems keen on buying stuff out. We just saw, the AT&T Discovery merger happen. There are so many media conglomerations or media consolidations that are happening and have been happening for a while now that nothing is really going to, I don't think anything's really off the table, but I think NBC is clearly a front runner just because they just spent all that money to buy the network. And so it would make sense for them. They could potentially absorb just the entire company. Now, what that would mean for the deal with Fox and things like that, I'm not smart enough. I'm not familiar enough with how contracts and businesses and stuff like that work to really know. But to me, NBC makes the most sense. Yeah, NBC Universal. But
yeah, a lot of people are like, there's enough people saying Disney, and I just don't see it. I don't see Disney touching wrestling with a 10-foot pole.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they didn't like.
No, they absolutely would. It's PG now. Less PG now than it was, but it's been proven that it can work in a family-friendly environment. And plus, just it's another IP for them to own, and it's less. You do run the risk of, all things considered, we've been very fortunate that like Disney didn't get bored with Marvel or Star Wars, because they very well could have like, okay, we're going to buy this money. This isn't working how we want. This isn't making the money that we want. And now we're just going to let it go. Because you got to keep in mind, like, yeah, Iron Man was huge for the movies, but like the comics industry has been not doing great historically. Just like it peaked and it's been going downhill ever since. But Star Wars, granted, that's always going to make money hand over fist, but it took them a while to get there with the new sequels. So, but I think Disney absolutely could, because they could set up, like, we were talking about in the group chat, they could set up a physical Hall of Fame and attach it to one of the parks. I don't think it would go farther than that as far as, like, I don't think you're going to have, okay, we got to go here to get our photo op with Mickey Mouse at noon, at 12:30. As long as we can make it here, we can meet Darth Vader. And then the guy in the giant John Cena, like, bobblehead outfit is going to be here at 2. I don't think we're going to get anything quite like that. But I don't necessarily think that Disney is completely out of the question as a potential buyer. But like I said, my money is completely on NBC because it makes a lot of sense. They paid all that money for the network. I believe USA is a NBC owned, like, a channel, however you want to word that.
Yeah.
So
they're under the NBC umbrella.
Yeah. So, that I think now, because, like, we've been hearing, there's been rumors. I don't think we ever really talked about him on the show, just because it seemed very far-fetched, and also, like, it's really just been rumblings. It hasn't been any sort of big, here's confirmation that WWE is looking for a buyer. But now this kind of really, there's a lot more smoke than there used to be.
Yeah.
So, also,
and I think if WWE ends up selling, we're going to see a big purge of, like, we thought the purges before were bad. I think if somebody buys WWE, the purges are going to, like, I could see.
Oh yeah, there's not going to be. They're going to be cutting a lot of fat.
Yeah, because, like, that Performance Center, as good as it is, they'll keep NXT, but you can keep NXT running and just keep signing indie talent. The Performance Center as a whole is going to be super shut, like, maybe not shut down all the way, but I could see that getting cut a whole lot.
I don't agree with that at all. Just because they see that as, like, a money printing factory. If you can, because, look at people like Bianca Belair came from the Performance Center. The Performance Center does a lot of good, and it's long-term investments. I'm talking about, like, I'm thinking you're going to see a whole lot less of, if you're not on TV, good luck. There's not going to be the dozens of people that you can pick from the roster right now who are sitting in catering, every week. I think those are the people that are really going to get hit. I don't see them hitting NXT. I don't see them hitting Performance Center at all. It's the people that are, like, does main event get cut? Does those secondary shows get cut? And the people that wrestle primarily there. And that sucks, because I think those do a good job of, like, getting people in to perform, especially now that they're not touring, where the house shows would fill that. And also, like, some of those matches are just fun. Like, I don't know if you've ever gone on Hulu and caught Main Event, but, like, Mustafa Ali and Ricochet have been having killer set of matches. I'm really looking forward to the Mustafa Ali Jeff Hardy one. I haven't seen it yet. It may not have gone up yet, but I really want to see that. So, but other people were released today as well. Lana, who, dear Lord, 9 weeks of having her put through an announce table, only to have her default her way into being the sole survivor for her team, and then just thrown in a tag team with Naomi to just lose a lot. That's a bummer. I don't think she will go to... Oh, real quick, going all the way, just jumping back, because we were talking about, like, Aleister Black going into AEW. As much as I would love Braun pretty much anywhere, because I think he did get improved. I think he improved a lot. I think he's a great big man at this point. I don't know why. I want to see him in New Japan. Like, I think he would...
Oh, he'd be insane in New Japan.
Yeah.
He would be insane in New Japan.
So that's what I am hoping for personally, but we'll see. Lana, I could see really going just about anywhere, but I don't know if she will stay in wrestling. Like, she has so many contacts with, like, modeling and with, like, and now that she can actually have these endorsements, doing things like that, or even acting, I could see that.
Yeah,
although,
I mean, she was she's been in movies.
Mm-hmm. And then I also wouldn't rule out, her showing up in AEW. I don't know if they would necessarily... I really don't know if I want them to pair her with Miro, just because of what Miro's character is right now. He's just this unhinged, violent lunatic. I don't know if he necessarily needs either a mouthpiece or a valet, but, it's definitely not out of the question. But yeah, but still, it sucks. They really could have done something more with her that they didn't. which, speaking of Ruby Riot, same thing. She was a member of the longest formed tag team in the WWE Women's Division, and I don't think it's close with the Riot Squad with Liv, and that's even considering the fact that they broke up for a while. But like, also just, Lana wasn't the best in-ring competitor, but she also didn't really need to be. Whereas Ruby Riot is legitimately an incredible wrestler. So she will be an asset to whoever picks her up. And I think that effect will be felt immediately. I cannot wait to see where she goes. Because I would, if I had to pick, I would kind of hope I would be rooting for Impact. Yeah. But also Ring of Honor has done a really good job of boosting up their women's division. And even like NWA, just because there is that possibility of crossover with AEW. So, but holy crap, like Ruby Riot again is just someone I can't believe they never pulled the trigger on the Riot Squad as the tag team champs. I don't get it. I don't understand how you have talent like this and just let them flounder.
Yeah, it's really weird because, like you said, like Lana, she was super entertaining. Take this like last year and a half away with whenever Miro was in WWE. She was consistently one of the more entertaining valets that we've had in a while. That's name wasn't Paul Heyman. Like her, whenever Rusev started, that too. Whenever they started on the main roster, like that act was so good that they gave them a special WrestleMania entrance where they took a goddamn tank to the ring. And it's like they
still lost.
But again, they still lost, yes. But like
salty.
There's only I don't think she was a good valet for anybody other than Rusev. I did not enjoy her with anybody but Rusev. But Lashley, that was the only other one, and that whole story was stupid.
Yeah, I think that might play a role. Like, I don't think it's because... I agree. I did not enjoy her with anybody else, but I don't think it's because she wasn't good with anybody else. It was because what she was given to work with was so bad. Between the Lashley stuff and the Dolph Ziggler storyline. Yeah, like any of those pairings,
I forgot about that.
It's not going to work. And, of course, they're going to... Her and Rusev, her and Miro are going to have more of a natural chemistry, obviously, just given the fact that they're married. Yeah. But I don't hold any of those runs against her because I think there was really a ceiling on what you could achieve there, just given the writing.
Yeah.
Then the other two, Santana Garrett released as well. She had shown up on the main roster a couple times. She was in the Women's Royal Rumble, I believe, as well as I think she was actually in two of them. And then she showed up a couple times in like squash matches. She also never really had a ton to do in NXT. So I don't know that much about her, but she's also someone else who I think has a lot of potential upside. So if she does end up landing somewhere, I think that she could eventually be an asset to that company as well. And then the best kept secret, Buddy Murphy, who I don't know how many times he has to go out there and prove that, no, look what an amazing wrestler he can be. Just to get like nothing. So this is again, there was a guy I follow on Twitter talked about like how excited he was to see him, and I was like, I told him there is not a single wrestling company going that would not benefit from having Buddy Murphy on their roster. And I am putting the money down right now that the first big match that he has back is going to be a match of the year candidate. It doesn't matter who you say he's facing. I would stake that it's going to be a match of the year candidate. Because holy shit, can dude go.
Best of the Super Juniors, that's where I want him.
Yeah.
That's where I would like. There's no AEW, there's no Best of Super Juniors. I want him in that because holy hell, that's where that guy was made to wrestle in that tournament. Whenever he came back and he wasn't in the tag team and he was just destroying the cruiserweight division and having fucking amazing matches with everybody. And then he went to the main roster with Seth Rollins and was having great matches with anybody they put him in the ring with. And he played off of Seth Rollins so well. Like, it got dumb whenever the Mysterio family thing happened. I'll say it did get stupid. But, like, man, that dude was just having incredible matches just to be like, we don't have anything for you. Okay.
So, at what point do we have to point the finger at who is truly responsible, and that's Seth Rollins? Because
he ended all of it.
Because let's break it down. Hurt Sting. Sting shows up in AEW we're going to talk about that match. Tag team champs, because this was someone pointed out, like, every tag team champion that Seth Rollins has been tag team champion with 5 different people. Now 4 of them don't wrestle anymore. So outside of that, before we get there, we have Sting getting hurt. Authors of Pain got released after being his muscle from out of nowhere.
Yep.
He won the titles with Moxley. We know what happened there. He's out of the company. Jason Jordan, also hurt. Not by Seth Rollins, obviously, but is now an agent. Buddy Murphy's been released. Who are the other 2 that he won with? I just had him in my head, too. And they're both... Dang it, I gotta look it up. Stupid Reddit.
You know who he's feuding with right now. I don't like this.
Oh yeah, no, that's good. That I'm gonna be real mad. I'm gonna be very, very, very mad. Let's see. Where is Championship Reigns? Nope.
I can't tell you off the top of my head. I know.
You used to be so...
Oh, Roman. He won it with Roman.
Yeah, but Roman's fine. Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
I forgot he was tag champs with Braun Strowman.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, Roman, Dean, Jason Jordan, Braun Strowman, Buddy Murphy. Only one left standing is Roman Reigns.
Jesus. Yeah, he's fine.
And then,
Roman's
like,
fine.
and then, like I said, or is he? How good of a contract did he negotiate? And then remember, he got to just stay home during the pandemic. So, I don't know. Like, I honestly, though, like, legit, and I don't mean this as a bit, I don't think really anyone is safe. Now, granted, if I had to pick a list of names that, like, aren't going to get fucked with, Roman's at the top, Rollins is at the top, and then, like, Randy Orton, no way they're doing that. If Cena decides to come back, like, they're gonna let him.
He'll be good, yeah.
But, like, and then maybe the New Day. But outside of that, I think just about anybody is fair game at this point, and that's a little terrifying. If I was on the roster, I would look at Braun and just be like, especially if I just signed a new pre-pandemic deal of, oh, see, yeah, I was thinking, I heard the Bucks are starting up this company, and I was thinking about maybe, oh, okay, yep, and here's a bunch of extra money. I would kind of be like looking over my shoulder. I'd be thinking about those calls that I would get. If my phone rings and it's talent relations, text JTG and be like, how can I avoid these? How can I, what's the best way I can avoid these calls? Like, can I do like Office Space?
Don't answer your phone.
Can I do like Office Space and just keep showing up and not talk to anybody to avoid it? Like, well, the glitch will sort itself out. So, but obviously this sucks. Like I said, the future is bright. There's a lot of potential for all of these people. Wherever they go, I'm sure they're all going to be successful. But just for now, it's okay to just recognize that this bites. So, but that's not even the last of the releases we have to talk about, because just last week, literally the day after we got done recording this show last week, where we were talking about the shakeup to the Raw commentary team, we mentioned, why aren't they putting Tom Phillips on Raw? He would do great. He's already done great. Well, Tom Phillips was also released by WWE.
Yeah.
Dear Lord, which we didn't get any real explanation or anything like that. So no idea what happened there. But best of luck to him. I would love it. He's also someone else that, like, honestly I think would help AEW's production side of things. I would love to, because
be
he was a
good
fantastic backstage interviewer. So best of luck to him, but yeah, that sucks. And then another release that we got from AEW, one of their Spanish commentators, Willie Urbina, I don't know how to say his name, but also fuck him. He got caught on a hot mic making a real racist voice talking about Hikaru Shida just right before her celebration of a year-long reign carrying AEW through the pandemic for the women's division. And he did a real stereotypical racist-ass voice and got caught. And so they fired him. Which, if you're racist and you show it, good, you get fired, get fucked. I don't remember the.
Well, you cut me off because I was going to say, "There's the door." That's how that one goes.
Yeah, well, no, it's just there was a bit to it. There was like an actual words to it, but I don't remember the song anymore. But yeah, so I mean, to that, like, good riddance. She mentioned like she wasn't going to say anything before her big match on Sunday, which I'm glad. Hopefully, it doesn't get to her, because her English is not bad at all.
No.
And just there's no excuse for him doing what he did. So it sucks that she had to, be subjected to that, but also like now he's not there anymore and he has no one to blame but himself.
Yeah, that was a one and done on you, bro.
And also, just something that's kind of cool is they have his temporary replacement is going to be Rey Fenix while he's recovering.
Nice. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. So, this is coming into this is such a weirdly paced show because I really wasn't sure how to lay everything out. I mentioned at the beginning that there wasn't a ton of news over the week, but arguably this would have been the biggest story by a lot had today not happened. And it is that it has been reported that Nick Khan is WWE. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Nick Khan has begun talks with New Japan Pro Wrestling to set up some sort of collaboration. And if that were to happen, then WWE would be the exclusive American partner for New Japan. So it would shut the one forbidden door would shut, but then the forbidden window would open, because, AEW and Impact would lose that access that they've had with, Finn Juice was the Impact champions for a while. We've seen a bunch of people on AEW from New Japan, including the Joker from the Casino Battle Royale on Sunday, because
Leo Rush, yeah.
Leo Rush came in at that last spot as the Joker, but he did not sign with AEW. He's actually signed to New Japan. So this would then immediately, that would end that. Although it is also said that these are very, very, very early talks. New Japan has not agreed to anything. But apparently a big driving force behind this is Daniel Bryan. WWE wants Daniel Bryan real bad, and and that is something that he wants to do, is he wants to be able to wrestle with New Japan. He wants to wrestle, elsewhere. So if they can get to where, okay, we'll pay this money to have access to New Japan guys, bring them in, let our guys go over there. But my favorite comment off of this was, imagine being Jon Moxley and being New Japan United States champion, getting out of WWE and finding out you have to defend that IWGP US title against Baron Corbin on Raw.
Oh my God. You know what? I bet Moxley would love it. He would just walk, because you walk in at that point. I would just,
you get to go say hi to all your old friends. You get to.
I just want him to walk up to Vince and be like, "Jon Moxley, how are you?" Introduce himself in the most wrestling way. Like Sarge introduced himself to me every time I see him. Just goes up to Vince, Moxley, how's it going? But just hold the belt while he's doing. Just be a dick about it. That being said, I don't want this to happen. I don't even remotely want this to happen. Nothing
Really?
about this sounds appealing to me. Yeah, there's nothing about this that sounds good.
Nothing?
I don't Asa, I don't give a shit about the matches that I could get out of this, because I can get these matches out of these people once they're eventually released from WWE. My issue is I don't want WWE touching another company, because they've established that they barely know how to handle what they got.
Okay, but in fairness, and granted, this is going to come across as a cheap shot because they have been so friggin' kneecapped by COVID. Look at the last 2-3 years of New Japan booking, and tell me it's on par with what it has been.
Well, no, it hasn't. But it's, I mean, at the same point, the reason that you were saying has it been kneecapped, all of those talents are currently in America in a different company. So, do I want New Japan being or do I want WWE being the only source of Japanese wrestlers, these wrestlers coming to America? No. Because you know who they could be working with instead? The Bucks and Kenny. That's who I want them with. That's who I want to see them wrestle. Go to AEW. There's an entire company where it's just Bucks and Kenny.
That's who they wrestled 3 years ago.
And that's whenever it was amazing. I'm perfectly cool with New Japan guys coming over here, but I don't want WWE to...
You would rather get a rerun than WrestleMania, whatever the next one is main evented by Okada versus Daniel Bryan, featuring Guerrillas of Destiny versus the Usos. And, I think that you are completely undervaluing some of these matchups that we could get if WWE...
No, I know. I'm not undervaluing them. I need you to understand that I identify what could be. I do not want... You are not understanding how much I don't want WWE touching another company. I don't want WWE's creative touching a single hair on Okada's head, because they wouldn't know what the fuck to do with him. Because they'd be like, "Well, you're not gonna kick out of the F5, Okada. You're just not gonna." Last time Americans saw you, you were the Green Hornet ripoff. I don't trust WWE to touch New Japan wrestlers at all. And yes, I understand that I'm missing a lot of valuable matchups, but I would rather not see matchups with bullshit endings and bullshit creative than see matchups that I know at least will get the respect they deserve.
Suzuki? Lesnar.
Okay, cool. You're all right, awesome. I get what you're saying.
I know everybody wants to see Cena Tanahashi. I don't want to see Cena Tanahashi. I want to see head of the table Roman Reigns versus Tanahashi.
Yes, and whenever he doesn't kick out of one spear, you'll be like, well, that was a bummer. And I'll be like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, maybe on WWE TV, but again, you understand that this deal would be the WWE guys going to New Japan as well. And it would be on those grounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sure that would happen just as much. I'm sure it would happen. I'm sure we would get...
Because, your video is a second ahead of your audio, and it is messing with me.
Oh, I'm sorry. But the recording's fine. Our recording will be great.
Yeah. The audio might... editing this might be kind of weird, but... real quick, though.
Yeah. But no...
With the WWE New Japan thing, again, it's very worth noting. This is entirely at super beginning stages. This is in no way right now going to interfere or interrupt with AEW, with Impact, with anything else that New Japan has going on. And I will say one benefit, we're focusing on the matches, and I'm kind of, giving you shit because, it's not that I don't even disagree with you. I just there's certain matches that it's nah, I would want to see that. And then let New Japan just bounce out of the deal. Because in my head, the contract they sign is just no, if you pitch us too many stupid things, we're just going to go. And that's it. One thing that there would be a benefit that you cannot argue would be a benefit is if they do sign, if this agreement does come to fruition, that is going to be millions more eyes on New Japan than what they have right now. And I don't know if that's necessarily, quote unquote worth it, but it is something to take into consideration.
Because at the end of the day, they can do that all they want, but there's very few ways I see this playing to New Japan's benefit. besides the exposure. And the exposure, like, you can say no, any publicity is good publicity. But I could see WWE super undercutting their talent. Because it's been very consistently over the last couple of years, Okada is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and it's very agreed upon that he's one of the best in the world. And what if he goes to WWE and Vince is like, I don't fucking get it. And then he's jobbing to somebody. Well, that's your top guy. That's just to the wayside. I don't see WWE respecting any of those talents to the level that they need to be respected. And like, that sounds super like internet fan of me, but that's what I am. They will not treat half of these guys correctly. Okay, I just saw your eyes move. You were still for a moment, but yeah, there's so much about it I don't like. No, you're good. I like what they're doing now. Have them come in and work random spot shows with AEW and like the Hideo Itami. Why did I say that? Kenta just showing up randomly on AEW. That was amazing. And whenever he worked for AEW, like, it made sense. Whereas WWE is just going to, for one, they're going to get a bunch of people that they released, and they're going to be like, we didn't know what to do with you the first time. What are we going to do with you now? Like, there's so much I don't like about it that even the good is like, I don't even know if it's worth it. Because, like, yeah, the matches would be good until the last 20 seconds, and I don't see WWE going to Japan a lot. I don't see them just randomly sending people. They'll send the people we don't care about. Or that they don't care about on TV. Like, we care about them because we're fans, but, like, I could see in a year if this signs and they're not doing anything with Cesaro will go over there and have great matches. But it's not going to be important because he's not going to be a fixture on WWE TV. I don't see Roman Reigns going over to Japan and putting people over as much as vice versa.
You must think New Japan is stupid then, because like clearly they would have to like have some say over, you know, who they get. Because like this is just you're acting like WWE buys New Japan and then just keeps them open, which isn't what this would be. This would have to be
and I know it's not that. It's a partnership, yes. But do you remember what we were talking about with their WWE contracts and Braun being too good at negotiating? Like, WWE is going to pull carny bullshit when they can pull carny bullshit. And I feel like even in a partnership, they're going to pull some carny bullshit. And then New Japan will just get cut loose and go back to what they were doing. Well, yeah, I don't even want that. Like, I don't want, like, that would still be a black eye on New Japan then. Because, like, it would be the whole thing. Like, WWE is working.
Not WWE.
Well, I mean, over here, what's the story going to be? That WWE couldn't make it work or New Japan couldn't make it work?
I mean, everybody shits on WWE for literally everything. And a lot of the times it's warranted. But, like, no, it's going to be... New Japan was the underdog that got taken advantage of by the giant billionaire corporation, who then, because that deal didn't fall through, they fired half their roster again.
Fair enough, yeah. But whenever the self-destruction of New Japan hits the Peacock network, I'll be like, told you.
Oh, God. Don't you dare put that in the book. We're moving on.
I'm just saying.
The Dance and Sammy shirt raised $62,679 for Sammy for Syria. Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Good. That's the best news of the week.
I'm skipping this next one just because apparently something came out and I don't have details on it, so we will cover it next week.
Word.
And then, this is actually real quick before we do this, because this is what we're going to spend the most amount of time on. Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, who has been appearing on NXT television, has started a campaign to get WWE to officially recognize his reign as WWF champion when he bought the title off of Andre the Giant. Because as of right now, Andre the Giant is champion, and then does it go back to Hogan? Doesn't he win the tournament or whatever? So yeah, so it doesn't...
Oh, no. Savage won the tournament.
Savage, that's right.
Yeah.
So the list of champions goes... Andre, Savage, even though what technically happened is Andre won the title, DiBiase bought the title off of him to become champion, and then he was stripped of the title because they were like, no, you can't just buy the championship, you're not champion, we're going to hold this tournament, and then Savage won the tournament. So it's not enough, which is, it's always been weird to me that it wasn't an officially recognized reign. So
I personally love it that it's not an officially. Yeah, I love it. I need you to know, like, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But man, it's real funny that he's like going to start a campaign to try to get that recognized. Especially if that becomes his whole shtick at NXT.
No, it's not. I guarantee you what's going to happen it's going to be Cameron Grimes versus LA Knight at TakeOver in Your House, and the winner becomes the $1 Million champion. They're going to bring that back. Because I do think that
I'm fine with.
I think there was a report that WWE was planning on either renewed the trademark for it, or they had, like, there was rumors that they were planning on bringing the title back. Now that I think about it. So that would actually be pretty cool. And then the last two things we're going to talk about is AEW. Double or Nothing was this past weekend. You never ended up seeing it, did you?
No, I didn't. I didn't get a chance to.
So I watched it. I'm going to review it, run down the card here in a little bit. Before we do that, one of the things that ended up being the most excited about for the weekend is we knew that at FanFest on the Saturday before, they were going to unveil a ton of new toy announcements. And Dalton has those announcements ready to go.
Yes. So the really cool thing about AEW FanFest is I'm going to get what I care less about out of the way. They're doing Wrestling Buddies, which is fine. I don't really care for Wrestling Buddies.
Time out. So, as I thought I had a big list of all of these announcements ready to go, and I couldn't find it. So while I was at work, I asked Dalton, hey, can you get a huge rundown of what these announcements were so we can talk about it? He's like, yeah, sure. It's this, 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 and this. And I was like, oh, you forgot the Wrestling Buddies, which is hilarious. Because Dalton, what is your tag team name over at Stride Pro Wrestling?
The Mega Brothers.
Nope.
Oh, Stride.
With Jay Spade,
I think we're the Wrestling
Buddies. Legitimately named after this exact product that you forgot about.
Well, that's
fun.
true. Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. Go on with your bad self.
So, Wrestling Buddies Series 1, I think it's Luchasaurus, Kenny, Cody, and Darby Allin, which that's an interesting four. Luchasaurus makes the most sense to me because that's the most kid-friendly gimmick in the world. So, that's really cool. Darby Allin's is a weird one, but Kenny and Cody, it's pretty up the middle. So, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about action figures. They announced that they're doing Unmatched, which is going to be an off-brand or an offshoot of Unrivaled, which is cool. So we're gonna get two series of figures.
I was gonna say
that's gonna. Oh, go ahead.
It's very worth noting that it's not an off-brand; it is an offshoot because these are the exact same scale and articulation as the Unrivaled series. This is strictly so that they can ship more figures, and apparently it has also something to do with shelf space. Because if you tell Target, hey, I have these AEW figures. I want to sell you 12 AEW figures. Oh, if it's all one brand, we only want X a number of them. Whereas if it's oh no, it's two lines, then they're more likely to actually get put up. Which is weird, but I don't understand toys.
I mean, you see it with Elites and Ultimates. I was going to say Basics, but those are two different. But Elites and Ultimates, it's the same thing. The one has a little bit more than the other. But these are going to be almost, they're really the only difference is the name. So I'm going to go with Unrivaled since that's the flag bearer of AEW figures. We have two new waves announced. We have AEW Unrivaled 7, which is going to be the Young Bucks, FTR, Lance Archer, and Nyla Rose. I'm pretty stoked about Wave 7 of Unrivaled. I think there's going to be some cool figures. Dax is upset about his figure, though. Because he said in a tweet, and I quote, really? I've never worn shitty indie kick pads before. If you look at Dax's figure, he has kick pads. So, yeah, that's a thing. Unrivaled Series 8, which is going to be my favorite wave of Unrivaled. I almost got this right if I would have said this was Wave 8 instead of Wave 7 last week. Because I said we're probably going to get...
I will give you credit. You called these.
Yeah, I said we were going to get Trent, we were going to get Chuck T, and we were going to get Chris Statlander. And we got them all in the same wave, and that's going to be in Wave 8. In Wave 8, we're also going to get Chris Jericho, John Moxley, and Orange Cassidy. I might get the Cassidy depending on if they change the pants mold at all. That could be really cool. But yeah, so 7 and 8, we have New figures coming out of that, we have Chris Statlander, The Best Friends, Nyla Rose, and FTR and Lance Archer. So I'm really excited for the next 2 waves of Unrivaled Past 6. Now we have Unmatched Series 1, 2, and 3 that we have to talk about. And I'm not the biggest fan of these Unmatched waves, and we'll get into it in a second. Unmatched Wave 1 is going to be Miro, Britt Baker, which are going to be first time in lines, Darby Allin, Dustin Rhodes, Kenny Omega, and Cody. And Cody is going to be an LJN style figure. For anybody that doesn't know, LJN was the old WWF figures that were the hard rubber. They made a small resurgence in the Classic Superstars line, where they made a handful of Classic Superstar figures in LJN style, where they were just in a pose. Super important to note that those figures were made under Jakks Pacific, and the president of Jakks Pacific at the time was Jeremy Padour, who is the president of Jazzwares. So it's pretty understanding why this is something that's happening. So Unmatched 1, we're going to get 5 new figures and a LJN. Unmatched 2, which is an insane wave, is going to have MJF, Santana and Ortiz, Warlord, Tay Conti, and Sting.
Wardlow.
So Wardlow, did I say it weird? I probably did.
You said it sounded like you said Wardload.
Oh, maybe. And then we get Sting. Sting is getting an AEW figure. It's super important to note that Sting showed up in like October.
And also,
real quick too,
his figure is listed as it has like a special tagline under it. It's like an Illuminary figure, or it's the line that they talked about when we first found out they were doing a second wave, where we thought it was going to be its own wave of figures. But so now I guess this is where, like, if Jake Roberts or the announcers or someone gets a figure, it's going to be under this Unmatched line.
Yeah, and this is where we could get Classic Superstars 2.0, which I'm here for because I love the AEW figures as a whole. Give me Glacier. I want it. Nobody's made a Glacier figure. They can make a Glacier figure. But yeah, so we're getting a Sting, which is pretty cool. And then we have what is probably people's most excited for. Oh, I'll go really quick. We're getting another scale ring. I actually just sold my ring like 3 weeks ago to Cash Borden. Just for them to announce a new ring. And I messaged him and messed with him about it. But we're getting a double or nothing ring. And this one's going to come with Ref Aubrey. So I'm going to buy it. Because I don't have a ring right now. So I'll get a new ring. I'll get a referee. Because they don't make referees too often. It's super important to note that referees don't get figures a whole lot. But Aubrey is getting one. And then we have Unmatched 3, which is... I am so pumped for this. It is going to be Anna Jay, Evil Uno, John Silver, Stu Grayson. Unfortunately, a Darby Allin LJN, which I could give two shits less about. And we're getting a Brody Lee. Boy, and so also, excited. Like, I'm also happy that you...
Overall...
Go ahead.
Overall, I'm super hyped with these. I'm no longer going to get the full waves just because there's too many duplicates going right now. But I'm over the moon. We're getting a Brody. I love that Dark Order is finally getting some love, except for Alex Silver. I am so sick of AEW or Jazzwares, I should really say. Or Alex Reynolds, sorry, John Silver, Alex. I mashed them together. We're not getting an Alex Reynolds.
Yeah, no, you're good.
And I'm so sick of them giving us these incomplete teams, because also worth noting, we just went through 5 waves of figures. Still no Marco, still no Christopher Daniels. But we're getting a mix-in of these LJN figures in the Unmatched. And I'm not someone who collects those. I don't care about those. So, man, that's...
I won't buy them.
That's whiny, that's nitpicky, whatever. But I do think it's a fair criticism, at least. Also, the Sting...
No, if you want to...
Sting is under the Luminaries collection in that Unmatched wave. That's what that was called. That's what I was trying to remember.
I'm going to quickly go to the chat. Michaela, Sting did get like 8 WWE Mattel figures. He got 2 elites. He got like a couple of battle packs, and he got a couple of basics. Because Sting was under that Legends contract since 2016, I think. 15, 16 in that ballpark. So like he's had a bunch of Mattel releases. He actually had one that was supposed to come up in the Target Legends line that literally went right up to production and didn't get made because he let his contract lapse. Brody is going to go quick. That's going to probably be the second that gets hit. I don't care what my financial situation is. I will probably pre-order that one because I'm going to need that first figure. I'm really hoping that Unmatched 3 is in purple boxes. That would be cool. I do think it's really cool that we're getting Conti and Anna Jay because we do need more women and Statlander and Rose for that matter. But we're getting like now, because that was like everybody's critique about AEW figures is that we weren't getting the female talent. We only really got, well, we've only gotten Rhodes and Riho right now because Sheeta isn't out, so I can't count her. But just in the next,
she's coming out. I think, but
every wave from 6 on, I think, has a female coming in a wave, which is the WWE Elite model wave. We're getting Britt. We're getting Nyla, we're getting Statlander, we're getting Anna Jane, we're getting Conti. So we're having 5 on top of the 2 we already have, so that's 7. And it's super important to note that we have been less than a year out of this figure wave starting. It started August 1st last year. So I think whenever we hit that first year mark, we're going to have a special segment talking about what we think about AEW's figures. Because we can do that because it'll be a year in.
Oh, God.
And we can have like a quick retrospect on them. I know. So and you can talk about them.
If you're watching live on Facebook.com/Podzilla1985, you can actually see a small snippet of my AEW figure collection, which, like, when they were just stashed away in boxes out of sight, it's like, yeah, no, I've got all of them. It's fine. It's not that much. And then, oh no, it's time to organize them. And Dalton's like, why are there so many AEW figures?
Yeah, because I open everything, and I have a shelf, and there's a lot of space on that shelf, and I have a lot of WWE Mattel Elites on that shelf to kind of like pad out my roster. But when they're in box and you put them up, there's a lot, and that was the thing I said. We're less than a year in, and you have 2 very full shelves worth of it. But we need Christopher Daniels and Marco. Those are the 2 needs right now because we have incomplete teams at this point. Like, you have incomplete teams. I don't have my Luchasaurus yet. But
Itchy.
They need to really fill in the blanks. Dark Order is a harder one to do because there's like 10 people in that. So like it's going to be a couple waves to fill that team out. But when you have these 3-man teams and you just give us 2 of them, it makes it a little annoying.
Yeah. I mean, and really there's only 4 members missing. It's weird that they would include like, I don't say this because I want a John Silver figure real bad, but like it would have made more sense to sub him. If you're not putting Alex Reynolds in, it would make more sense to sub out Silver for like Cabana or 10 or 5 because they aren't part of they're not part of an established tag team. So, but that's fine. I'm overall great reveals. I'm super, super excited to get my hands on these. My hands on these boxes, and because they're safe and protected. And then to finish out the show, Double or Nothing was this past Sunday, and I thought it was a great show, top to bottom. There really wasn't anything that I didn't at least enjoy. If I had to rank it, like I don't know. The only thing that didn't really click for me was the Cody Rhodes Anthony Ogogo match. And that is strictly because that story was super weird and I was not anytime there's, the super hyper patriot, rah, rah, rah America story, it's not my shtick. Like, I don't get that. And it's weird that the, evil foreigner's British. Like, okay, sure. But we did get Serena Deeb retained the NWA World Women's Championship against Rio in a really, really good match. That was on the pre-show. The opening match of the pay-per-view was Adam Page versus Brian Cage. Adam Page won via pinfall. That was a killer match, and I like what they're doing with Cage, with him slowly splitting off of Team Taz, and they're really building towards that friction. It started when Cage told Sting he respected him after they lost the that cinematic match, and then this past week Page was like, hey, if you think you're so good, do it without them. Fight me one-on-one like a man. Then Starks and Hook come out to try to help Brian Cage. He sends them away. He doesn't want the help, but the distraction is enough for Page to get the win, and so there's tension there. I'm excited to see where that goes on Friday, because AEW is not on Wednesday again this week. It's on Friday again. Tag championships were defended. Young Bucks defended against Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. I'm getting a kick out of the Moxley-Kingston pairing. I really hope that even though they lost this match, that they don't end as a tag team. I would be okay if they moved away from facing the Young Bucks, but I want them to stay together just because those promos that they cut together are too good. The Casino Battle Royal, we already kind of talked about. The Joker was Leo Rush, and that was cool. But my takeaway was, one, Jungle Boy won it, and two, how over Jungle Boy was. It made me so happy hearing the crowd sing along to his theme, to see him get cheered over Christian Cage as the final two was amazing. I loved that. There was a spot, Dalton, I don't know if you saw this, but like they're both fighting on the apron. Christian tries to send him into the turnbuckle, and he like just 619s kinds of like across onto the other side of the apron. Looked great. I loved it. I'm big on Jungle Boy. I'm big on Jurassic Express as a whole. And not just saying that, because of Marco, but like Jungle Boy's awesome.
Yeah, they're fun to watch, yeah. And that was really cool. Like it was just really cool seeing like Christian Cage and Jungle Boy at the end of it, like him talking, because it looked like Christian Cage was gonna beat the shit out of him and just be like, you better make this one count if you're gonna beat me. Like that was cool, because Christian is one of those like very much agreed upon best wrestlers of all time. Like not best like of all time in general, but just like work wise, one of the best like just workers of all time. And it very much looked like they were giving him that stamp of, they were giving Jungle Boy that stamp of approval in front of the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Cody Rhodes Anthony Ogogo match was weird. Cody survived like 3 crippling boxer punches just to win with the Vertebreaker. But whatever. Miro defeated Lance Archer by TKO because Miro locked in the game over and Archer passed out, but not before Jake Roberts made his return and tried to pull the snake out of the bag, but Miro grabbed the snake and just chucked it up the ramp. That was awesome. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, finally won the AEW Women's Championship against Hikaru Shida. And this is going to be an unpopular opinion. I wish Shida had won. I think the story was... Just because something's predictable doesn't mean it's bad, but it really did feel like this was all just a matter of time. So that was a little bit of a bummer for me. But I'm a fan of Baker. I just kind of wish Shida could have gotten to do a little bit more. But that's just me. Darby Allin and Sting defeated Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, the Men of the Year. I don't know if that's their official tag team, but that's what's on their entrance, and I love that. I love that name for a team, so that's my headcanon now. But I will say, Darby Allin, turns out, it wasn't Sting influencing Allin. Darby Allin's a terrible influence on Sting. Because Sting's hitting like suicide dives and flipping off of coins and like, no. He is 62 years old. He should not be doing these things. Yeah. Looked great though. Nope. Like this was a great showing. Ethan Page threw Darby Allin about as far as Miro threw the snake. That was super cool. This was just a lot of fun. This was a lot of fun to watch. The triple threat match for the AEW World Championship was Kenny Omega defended against Orange Cassidy and Pac. I don't know. It felt like every time one of the announcers said it, they said it differently, and now I'm in my head about how you're supposed to say it. So, the artist formerly known as Neville, and this was a really good match, but it did get, and I think I get the point of it, is that you are supposed to hate Kenny, and you're supposed to know that like he's beatable. They just aren't going to let him. But it's, if they're not careful, they can kind of toe the Jeff Jarrett, TNA, Triple H Reign of Terror line because of the amount of bullshittery that went on during this match between taking out the ref, the Good Brothers coming out, Callis getting involved, like Braden Cutler getting involved. Like it's all, although I guess Braden Cutler, that his involvement was in the tag match, not the main event, or not the world title match. But you know what I mean. I will say there was a really fantastic... There was a really cool thing that they did where early in the match, Omega avoided the orange punch. And Callis, who was guesting on commentary, was like, no. We've got that scouted. He's not going to hit that on Kenny again. It's been nullified. It's done. Fast forward, 10, 15 minutes into the match, Orange Cassidy hits Pac with it. He does hit Kenny with it. And you hear Callis, oh shit, as he picks up his headset and throws it down. And that's when he makes his way to ringside. And it was like, okay, that makes that move seem legit. But it was a super fun match. I love this triple threat.
I love that.
Yeah, no, but it was that nice little bit of storytelling of no, he's not going to hit the orange punch. It's not a factor. Then when he actually does hit it, just that kind of panic of, oh shit. Something similar that happened in the first match with Cage and Paige. Taz is on commentary, and Shivani or Excalibur are because Cage was on top at that point, and they're like, "Oh, well, Paige right now he needs to regroup, he needs to get his breath, and then he needs to come up with a new plan." And Taz is just like, "I hope not." It's all right, I enjoyed that. And then the main event was the Stadium Stampede match, the Inner Circle against the Pinnacle. And Sammy Guevara got the pin in the ring in front of the crowd on Shawn Spears to win the match for the Inner Circle. This was a interesting match. I think I liked the original Stadium Stampede better. This one just felt... There were too many, cutesy moments. Like Wardlow trying to stab Jake Hager with an icicle. Him pulling it down from this fake-ass meat locker... And Shivani oh, those icicles can be as sharp as a knife. All right. But there were some good moments in it too. Like the coach for the Jaguars was in it. He showed up for a little bit.
Oh, Urban Meyer was in it?
Yeah. There was kind of a cool moment where, because basically everybody just, from the beginning, everyone just split off and went to these different locations to fight. So it was Hager and Wardlow, it was Santino Ortiz and FTR, it was Spears and Guevara, and it was Jericho and MJF. And during one of the places where where Spears and Guevara were fighting, Spears had Guevara down, and he's trying to find a weapon to use. And basically there's these bolt cutters, there's a nightstick or something, and then a chair. And he picks up the bolt cutters, and he just throws them over his shoulder. And then he grabs the chair. They fight a little bit longer, and then it gets to the point where Spears actually handcuffs Guevara to a piece of the set. He leaves to go, do whatever, and then the camera pans down, and you see those bolt cutters kind of sticking out from underneath a piece of the set. And it's okay, he threw these away, but they ended up in a spot where Guevara could get to him to get out of the handcuffs. And I liked that. I thought that was kind of neat the way they played into that. But also we got a Conan appearance. He was apparently DJing at this nightclub that I guess is in Daly's Place, where FTR and Santana Ortiz were fighting. It was again, I am not trying to sound like I'm that down on it, because I did ultimately enjoy it, but there were just certain things that didn't quite click with me, but there was also, a lot that I did like. Yeah. So, but overall, it was a fantastic pay-per-view. It is still kind of jarring having to pay money for a wrestling pay-per-view again after being so used to the network. But every time I've ordered an AEW pay-per-view, I've always felt like I got my money's worth, and this is no exception to that. So.
Yeah, that's how it felt anytime we did the big parties pre-COVID with it too. Of just that was a lot of fun for. Was it still $59.99?
I think it was just $50. I think it was $49.99.
Okay,
but I'm not 100% sure. I should probably check that. So yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it, and if you get a chance to catch the replay, you absolutely should. So, but that's going to do it for PWU this week. Thank you, everybody. I understand that we kind of were talking on each other a lot more than normal, but I think it's because Discord is having these issues, and we're on a little bit of a delay on the call here. So hopefully that's better next week. If not, we will figure something out for the week after. But until next time, of course, you can get yourself a Dalton Anthony t-shirt at prowrestlingtees.com/Dalton Anthony. You can follow me on Twitch and Twitter at the 5-Star Man with the number 5. And then if you want to watch along while we record these, of course, Podzilla, Facebook.com/Podzilla1985. And then tomorrow night we've got PZ85 After Dark. And then Horse Time on Friday, back again on Monday with I Want to Believe. And then everything starts back over. So thank you everybody for coming to hang out. We appreciate you. And you have a great night. We will talk to you very, very soon.